Okay. Is it a hump or a drop? What do you say? You've got to twist your words in every which way, because the model will always dictate what you do. Everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues. Is it a straight line, or does it curve? Some people don't clamp it, but that is absurd. We all know that the model dictates what you do. And everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues. Model affliction, it's your addiction. Model affliction, it brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain. Conflating curvature with elevation change. Just got your local distance just out of range. That oblique is gonna dictate everything that you do. And everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues. Model affliction, it's your addiction. Model affliction, it brings you so much pain, and it's your ball and chain. It's your decision defending the model position. You just don't know the geometric proposition. That old ball will always be illogical to you. That's why perpendicularity is a puzzle to you. Model affliction, it's your addiction. That old model affliction, it brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain. And everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues.
Works really good with this guitar.
Is it a hump or a drop? What do you say? You got to twist your words in every which way. We all know that the model dictates what you do. Well, we know you got it, the model affliction. Model affliction, model affliction, model affliction. affliction blue.
And we are live. Welcome everyone. It's Model Affliction Monday, obviously, sung in by Buster. And before I forget, there was a super chat. Let me see. Shout out to the OGs, Show Ponies, and the Peanut Gallery from Miss You. I think that was about right? Miss You. He deleted it for some reason. But yeah, thank you very much, Miss You. Shout out to everyone. Model Affliction Monday. How did we end up here? We've been I've been trying to say for quite a while. I'm pretty much, I've said that, you know, I'm not a flat earther. I don't know why people assumed it. Maybe it was because I was defending flat earthers. Maybe it was because I talked to flat earthers. Maybe because I made arguments that appeared to be similar than what somebody were to make if they were to make arguments. But I'm not a flat earther, never have been. A lot of people imagine that well, within this arena, I don't think people actually realise the false dichotomy that they put themselves in. And it gets a bit tricky to get out of it. And there's a lot of angst, animosity that's felt between people within this arena. Now, I mean, the truth is that we know level is horizontal. That's what we came here for. Tried to warn people about the problems and the way other people feel about that. Because, I mean, they associate it with a claim of flat earth. But level being horizontal is how we measure the earth to be not flat. It's a vital part of measuring elevation changes. It's just a fact of reality. So what we're trying to point out to people, I think, you know, is that there's a false dichotomy, but you only really can see the false dichotomy once you start dealing with logic. And that seems to be lacking nowadays. And one of the core tenets of what we're dealing with here is that there's a contradiction, right? One of the basic laws of communication, the law of identity, the law of the excluded middle, and the law of non-contradiction. Well, I think they all sort of come together as a package. You can't really separate them. But the law of non-contradiction seems to be the one that's been lacking, really. And I think that's the way forward for me and those of us here, is that it doesn't matter what your model is or what you imagine anything to be, that you can't allow a contradiction. If you do allow a contradiction within your internal structure, then you're likely mad. Oh, it's one of the first steps to madness, is to allow contradictions. And
you've broken logic at that point, so you're on your way to an exploded mind.
Yeah.
You've exploded your logic. Eventually, your mind's going to be exploded as well.
Yeah, literal madness. Being able to do that. And whether it's been taught within the education system or, you know, modern thinking, death of God or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I personally can't deal with contradictions, and that's why I'm not a flat earther. some people may call it pedantic, but I mean, you can't allow a contradiction. And if I know that it's not flat, then you can't convince me to accept that not flat is flat, because that's a contradiction, a blatant contradiction. So I can't accept that. So going forward, I think this particular server, Discord server, and the conversations that we have, we'd say would be open with the idea that, you know, if anybody wants to come for a conversation, you can come for a conversation, but expect for us to point out contradictions if we see them, and we expect the same from other people. If you spot a contradiction, make sure you let people know about it. This is a journey into logic that we're going to be doing now, and it's going to involve the ability to communicate with people, and that you need a truth system, and pointing out contradictions is normally one of the best ways to, show that there's a falsehood or an error within your argumentation, your conclusion. If your conclusion is likely a contradictory conclusion, then you may have made a step wrong, or you probably have. I mean, you must have done, really, because there's no such thing in reality as contradictions or paradoxes. They're puzzles to be solved, and that's where I think we should be at. And flat earthers aren't going to like it. Sorry, flat earthers.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Oh, good day, Rob. I think I think Paige said she wanted to come in and have a chat about something as well. So yeah, we did want to see your opinion on this. Because going forward, like, you can't really have flat Earth. You can't argue for.
That's why I like the not flat earther.
But
it's contradiction.
That's a contradiction.
But it is. Yeah, I understand. Don't worry, I'm not going to go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it becomes hard if that's what you're trying to explain. I mean, it goes along the lines of don't speak of the not that.
Yeah, don't speak of the not flat.
Well, the contradictions, right? You don't bring forward a contradiction to show somebody what a contradiction is. I mean, like, it's not up to you to show the contradiction, right?
They may not know what the contradiction is when they think all I need to do is go up 120,000 feet and shit, it looks flat. Because that's what they do. That's what I did for years and years and years. But when you get down to the ground level of reality, I can't find a flat spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought as well, in the idea of explaining these things to people, it's much easier to explain to people on, to get them on side by telling them a truth, right? It's not flat. That's how you have a much better conversation if you can agree with someone. It starts off really badly when there's a flat earther that you're having an agreement with, like, not saying like people like you, Rob, but I mean other people like Nathan Oakley or, any one of the ones in the chat over there at the Flat Earth channels. I mean, they get really upset.
Their livelihood. Yeah, because their livelihood depends on it being flat. Not me.
Yeah.
I work on cars all day, so the Earth having a shape doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's the contradiction that I can't personally go with. Like, many people have tried to ascribe that to me, but I mean, I can't do that because it's a contradiction. So when people say, well, you used to say it, didn't you, Bev? No, I didn't. I've made arguments. You know, you can make arguments for all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well,
what
you have
people
two
say.
really strong arguments that basically destroy the false dichotomy and put you in reality.
Yeah, I think when I did it early on, I wasn't really aware of how logic works and all of that. But given if you can put forward to people a false dichotomy, i.e., just two choices, and that both of those two choices are false, well, you can falsify one of them to prove the other. If you go with the logic that people don't really seem to understand, if you don't spot the false dichotomy, then it's quite easy to prove the one and the other, right? So if you set up a false dichotomy of flat earth and globe earth, all you have to do is falsify flat earth and you end up proving globe. And then if you falsify the globe, then you can prove flat. That's how the false dichotomy works. That's why we're in this circular situation within this arena. It's a false dichotomy. And you want to know where the other option is? Well, the other option that's been missing is the one that no, it's a false dichotomy. There is only one reality. And knowing that it's a false dichotomy does put you in a favourable position, I think, for the epoche. I think once you know that there's a lot of dogma that you have to take on within the false dichotomy as well. I don't want to go too far.
Well, the other thing to consider, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, is the requirement. We talked about this when Raven first came to us with the whole trivium and the logic thing, right? And it was at that time that we had quite the discussion around truth value to logic. And it was I think mostly the consensus here that you require a truth value. So when even the flat earthers with good intentions, let's say, and there are those out there, when they come with the contradiction and then say, I'm going to ignore the contradiction, they also accept a lie, and they know they're accepting a lie. But there has to be a truth value there, or else everything from that point on, at least for people that value the truth, you can just ignore. You can ignore everything that comes after that point. It's kind of like I was telling Bev earlier today when we talked about this, that why when people like flat Earth math came around, and just the contradiction in the name of his channel and how he describes himself with that name online is a lie. It's a deception from the beginning. Now, people could try to say that it's not a deception, or here's what I really mean by that, or whatever you want to say. But really, the black and white of it is it's a deception. So is Earth is flat, or we can measure the Earth flat, or Earth is measured flat, or any variation thereof. It's just a lie. Just call it what it is. It's just a lie. So then I would be justified, if I care about truth, to say, you're just a liar. Why would I entertain anything else you say from this point on, when you will just want to go with the false dichotomy, as Bev said?
It makes it even funnier.
Strange.
No, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say it's even funnier when they all say Earth, but they're actually measuring water and shit.
Or a plane, which
yeah.
right? Or a plane, for that matter.
Are
2D
they
earthers.
measuring
Long live 2D
water?
earthers. Well,
No.
they're not actually measuring. They're looking at water and calling it Earth. For example, in the Black Swan, they're looking at water
But
and calling it Earth.
at its basis form, though, Rob, you'd have to agree, right? That's a lie, right? If you were just saying
Yeah.
what's true or what's not, well, that's not true. You're lying. Not you. I didn't mean to say you, Rob. I just the colloquial you.
I understand. I know what you meant by it.
Yeah, it's a rather weird situation that we've ended up in here, where, you know, both sides of the false dichotomy are coming after us. And that just exposes the false dichotomy even more. Shows you that it's the same team, really. Always has been. Takes a while for you to be able to see it, and it takes a even longer for you to be able to try and understand it. Really, first off, you have to be able to see it, and when you're in it, sometimes you don't actually see what's going on. And the model affliction is it's going to be a tricky one, because the people that are in it, and the people that aren't in it, you don't want to be inviting them into it, really. I don't, anyway. I don't want to be bringing more people into this arena, because there's some nasty people around. There are some good people for good conversations, but they've been they're gonna have to shy away, really, because anybody that pokes their head up to say anything within this arena, you've seen what happens.
Yeah, we may end up being responsible for breaking minds just by bringing them in here.
Yes.
Yeah, or even just entertaining the conversation. People get really defensive about it. And if you're just dealing with straight lines and geometry, then the only reason for somebody to get upset was because they are associating those geometric statements with something else. That it's the implications of these initial bits. But if your logic system can't place these steps in order in a reasonable way where you can derive the next step, then you can end up imagining all sorts of things. We have been talking to some in the chats earlier today, but I mean, these are hardcore flat earthers. I mean, this conversation that we have isn't for the hardcore flat earthers. This is more basic than that, even. These are first steps that you'd hope to arm people with before entering this arena, just to let people know about the false dichotomy. Now, that may be troubling to people within this arena, and it may look as though we're cutting off people. But, I mean, do you want to bring people into this arena and not make them aware of the false dichotomy that's going on? At least that there is another position where they already came from. That's the just living life in reality position. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of people that are sort of upset at what we do and what we're saying, but I can't deal with it. anymore, really. I mean, I've always been saying this sort of stuff, but it's as though in the past there's a lot of people that have said some certain things, and you know, I let them say that in the hopes that other people would see what was going on, but it seems like people have not seen it and taken it as...
You may be undermining their livelihood.
Well,
some people take
if
great offense to stuff like that.
Well, you like we say,
but it's not your fault.
Yeah, like, you can't market the truth,
exposing it.
Right? You can't take control of the truth and monetize it, because obviously the truth serves itself, and nobody should really make a profit from that sort of stuff. Or when but when it seems like the false dichotomy is the money, then sorry, the truth will do what the truth does. I think people are beginning to see that sort of stuff for themselves now anyway. You can see, after being in this arena for any length of time, and saying, well, I mean, if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, then you'll get a massive reaction. Now, if you've never done that, call it the right thing to the right person to get that reaction. If you've never done that, then come and get an argument. But these arguments that we have are just from reality. They can't be taken by a flat earther or a globe earther to prove either of those. They're just statements that prove either the... Well, you prove the premise, the statement at the beginning, if in a truth statement. So there's no argument that will ever be made that starts if the earth is flat. Within a truth statement, right? You'd never get to a modus ponens. It would never happen with that as your statement, because it's too vague. It's just not an argument. You wouldn't form an argument like that.
You would only be able to do the modus tollens that you've done.
Yeah.
Same with the globe.
Yeah, there's no proof positive. There's only these falsification arguments. And I mean, it would be good to have these discussions with people, but I mean, why would anybody enter into a discussion where, the only thing that they've got is somebody to prove their statement's false? And they've not got any positive arguments. Oh God, he's talking about a show. Nathan Oakley did a members show at the same time he was putting an old show out. But the old show that he put out was the beginning of the year, where he was, talking to his mods and him pushing the earth flat thing.
We measure the earth flat. It was the beginnings of we measure the earth flat, because I think, rightly so, Nathan, and to their credit, to the guys over at FED, they were a little upset. They were looking at a Dave Weiss video, I guess, right, Bev? And they were a little upset that Dave seemed to be reinforcing the globe constantly, which we've said many, many times, right? Here, like, we tried to discourage that ourselves here, because you're just bringing up a model that there's no proof around it. But then ECV, right? They don't look at it themselves and say, well, are we doing the same exact thing? Well, yes, of course you are. But no, instead it's Earth is measured flat. It's like, my goodness, what a leap to make there.
Yeah, it was quite good in the chat though today. There was no mods in Nathan Oakley's, in his one for us commoners, the not members stream. So I felt we didn't get banned. Nobody. I don't know whether anybody got. Somebody might have done, but we didn't. So that was a positive, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we can do much more than carry on doing what we do. But I would put a warning out that, what we do isn't a proof that the Earth's flat. Like some flat earthers seem to think. Because, you cannot measure the Earth flat, and there's no argument that, like we said earlier, no argument for it. You can prove certain things within reality.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Paige.
Sorry, Kevin. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I don't have any headphones, so sorry if it's a bit echoey.
No, that's good. That's good.
No, no echoes at all.
Awesome. Yeah, I was a bit surprised by the lack of understanding of implications, like you were saying before when I was talking to Rachie. I try not to give them everything. I try to just sort of steer them in a direction to think about things, and all they do is just go, oh, well, you just don't understand. So no, I think it's you that doesn't understand, not me.
Well, they always misrepresent because, I think I found that when people get this as an understanding, then I don't know.
And this whole Wyoming thing, why on earth are they trying to prove a measurement on land? Like, they're trying to prove flatness using something.
That's square. It's an angular thing. Yeah, it's an angular thing.
But why are they even doing that? Why are they using something you can build up and make into a curve and then measure it? Like, this is why you use water, because we know, we understand fluid dynamics. You can't build water up to make a hill, but you can do it with earth. But she wants to tell me that they've measured something with straight lines on a 2D surface that's a rectangle, but somehow it's not a rectangle and it's got different lengths and it's curved.
Contradictory.
It literally could be curved. It's the ground. You could literally make the ground have the exact curve that a globe is supposed to have. But you've not proven anything. Like,
well, they've never presented a decent argument about that yet.
Well, they don't. She wouldn't even give me her argument. She would only say, go and watch, or go and look up Wyoming. It's like, I understand you're telling me the measurements are all different, but you're not thinking about what I'm trying to tell you about how things are actually measured in real life. You might think you've measured something and then stretched it flat from a curved surface, but you haven't. You've measured it flat and then pretended to flatten it out, and that's why it's all wrong. That's why your rectangle's not a rectangle.
You get your words right. Nobody measures anything flat. They measure straight lines.
Yeah, I do have to. Yeah, my words. Yep. They didn't measure it flat, no.
Wow. No, but there are geometric statements that are made by people about certain things, right? How to prove which type of surface you're on, or you're in, or which sort of stuff you're in. But they're geometric statements. They're nothing to do with the Earth being flat. See, that's what we went over today was, right? There's a a word association game that's gone on, right?
Yeah.
It starts that level and horizontal are synonyms, right? Level is horizontal. Now, who can prove that? Well, we can. But, I mean, let's take it that you can't, right? Let's take it that most people haven't. But they just put a word association together. So they can say, well, there's a synonym of level and horizontal. But also, flat manages to join that group as a wandering, lost thing, right? Well, what they do then is they say that if level, horizontal, and flat are synonyms, then if you say the Earth's flat, then the Earth also joins in as that synonym to flat, which means that the Earth is also a synonym of level and horizontal in the minds of a flat earther. So if you start playing synonyms games, you can quite easily understand why they imagine that Earth is horizontal. Like, you just have to prove horizontal. Just the fact that horizontal now exists means that the Earth's flat, because you've played a synonym game and ended up with the Earth actually being horizontal.
Yeah, that's what Nathan does with his measurements. He thinks that because you can measure a horizontal, like 200 meters or whatever, that means that the Earth's flat.
Yeah, and that's a problem that a lot of flat earthers have now.
Have,
Yeah,
yes.
Nathan's given them that whole mess.
Yes, he just wants to ignore the elevation changes and go, well, because I can, establish a horizontal and measure, any distance I want, that means the whole Earth is flat. Measured flat. He even says measured flat.
Yeah.
Like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
In that one we heard today, he said it can be proven to be measured flat. But nobody's got a clue how he's going to do that. But, I mean, Nathan Oakley has said it. There's no way he can get out of saying that he didn't say it. Because, I mean, he played it again today.
I can prove that measurements are done on the vertical. I
That makes
don't know
it
how
not
he's
flat.
Yeah, literally.
So, yeah, the flat earthers are going to have a hard time. Especially when you start dealing with logic. Because this law of non-contradiction is always going to apply within logic.
And we're not trying to dismantle their arguments because we think it's a globe. Like, that's not what's going on.
No.
We're trying to make these arguments more logical, make them better, so that globers can't come along and go, oh, you're contradicting yourself. Oh, you idiot, you can't measure things flat.
No, no, I think that's where those people that you're talking about there, those globers, they're the ones you've got to leave them behind. Because they're the ones that are keeping you in the false dichotomy. Right, they're going to tell you you're a flat earther.
Exactly. The nature of the false dichotomy.
Yeah. You have to leave that, right? This is a conversation now for the 99.9% of people that live on the real globe, right? Their reality is what they're talking about. Now, they're going to be living on a globe. It's just going to comport with everything that they understand in reality. You telling them that the Earth's measured flat is going to put them on that defensive thing straight away, because it's a nonsense. I can't understand how flat earthers think that they're going to get away with it in normal conversation. It'll only work within this arena. And this arena is full of broken minds. People who've accepted contradictions to be able to stay within the false dichotomy. It doesn't seem like they have an ability to talk and formulate arguments logically. And that may sound pretty bad. People may think, oh, he's having a go at us or whatever. But, I mean, let's face it. The law of non-contradiction is one of the fundamentals of logic. Not just, it's not just an axiom. It's an axiom of logic. You can't perform logic without that sort of stuff. You have to have that in play. You have to have the law of the excluded middle, right? It's either off or on within the statement at the initial concept. You can't allow vagueness or indiscrepancies within this logic anywhere along the line.
I would, if I can add, I would say that going back to Paige's discussion around the discussion with Raichi and Wyoming, it's the same kind of thing, right? So Raichi's trying to say that Wyoming has perfect squares, i.e., 90-degree corners, but has different distances. Well, the truth of the matter is, if there's different distances along its sides, and it's not a square, is it, or a rectangle? It's just not. So you just say you're a liar.
Exactly.
Sorry, Raichi, you're just lying. You may convince yourself that you're not lying because you've moved from one part of the false dichotomy to the other, but you're still lying to yourself. There's no way. I've been to the corner to the southwest corner of Wyoming, driven through there. There's no line there. There's no board or metal beam at 90-degree angles to each other on the horizontal. There's just not. So, what the fuck is she talking about? Well, she doesn't know. That's the point. She doesn't know. She's got some talking point that the false dichotomy has given her. Go on, Rob.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying somebody's handed her something and said, hey, look at this. And it'll prove what you want it to prove.
It'll say what the person who gave you that wants to say. And that's the same thing with Nathan Oakley, isn't it?
Bingo. That's the problem. You can't talk to Nathan off the cuff. He needs to have been given the argument, sat and gone over it, had the person explain it to him. He even admits he has to go over things over and over and over. You can't just, give him something new and have him work it out on his own. And Raichi seems to be exactly so. A lot of them seem to be this way.
It's a theme.
That argument has been floating around a bit. I've heard it rumoured. But none of them have ever had the guts to bring it to us because it's a geometric argument and it wouldn't pass here. But somebody gave us the chance to go over Raichi's video while Raichi was around here. So, I mean, thanks for that. But I mean, it does go to show there wasn't an argument there. Well, I don't know what the video was about. It's obvious that one of these people has handed that to Raichi as though it's an argument. They'll be clipping this or whatever and making videos about it. But yeah, somebody bring an argument about Wyoming and we'll see what it is.
Well, she said that this was literally the thing that took her back to the globe, was this Wyoming argument. So, seriously, Rachel, if you could come in and just have a chat to us about geometry, we could get this all sorted out for you. Quick smart.
Raichi and Ranty sitting in a tree. Now that I'm done.
But there's nothing my point was there's nothing there at the corner of where Utah meets Wyoming. There's nothing there to even tell you that somewhere on a map somewhere someone's written it or drew it as if it were two straight lines perpendicular to one another making a 90-degree angle. I mean, all you have is what? Latitudes? An arbitrary latitude on a map.
Yeah, that's where I don't understand that because latitudes are marked afterwards. And if
Yeah.
they made a grid to start off with, then I mean that's the latitudes were done afterwards.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense at all.
Other than the fact that, the surveyors didn't know what they were doing.
I mean, it would be different if you actually had a structure there that you could see and then measure an angle there. But then you'd have to go an awful long. I mean, Wyoming's a big state. You'd have to go an awful long way to see the other corners of the square that they claim is there. That's not there. I mean, it's just craziness. But this is what's accepted as truth in the false dichotomy.
Yeah, and if she was right that it's got different measurements, then it can't be a square.
Can't be a square.
No,
Simple
it
as
just
that.
Can't be, yeah.
Nope.
Get rid of the fact that they think it might be on a curved surface, right? Like let's disregard that out of it altogether and just look at the lengths of the lines, and it can't possibly be a rectangle because there's more than 2 measurements.
They measure it with the 90s as a planar measurement, and then they assume that those measurements are now on a curved surface and flatten it out and make the shape not be a square or a rectangle anymore.
Yeah,
But everything they use on a planar surface. Like they use planar measurements, Euclidean geometry, Euclidean shape, everything.
Well, yeah, who's the they though? I mean, the guys that were actually surveying it
for the first time. No.
The people trying to say that those measurements prove a globe, they're the only ones that do it.
Yeah, well, like I say, they'd have to come with the arguments and the claims. I've never really heard anything at the minute that could even constitute as an argument, because it seemed like the measurements weren't even anywhere near a rectangle. So, I mean,
you're right though, Bev. They won't come here to do it because it just won't fly. It just won't. We're far too advanced in the geometry to let any of that slip by. It was you saw how quickly I did it, right? If the sides aren't the same, you don't have a rectangle or a square. Sorry, you just don't. You call it whatever the hell you want. I don't care. It's just like Bev with the how many times round and around and around with triangles that only have 180 degrees. Yeah, but this triangle has 189 degrees. Then it's not a triangle. I mean, do whatever you want with this 3 separate angles you think you measured, quote unquote measured.
It's the same with their vertical lines. That verticals can't be parallel. It's like, well,
yeah, they diverge. Yeah.
We already have squares. What are you talking about?
If you have verticals that diverge, then one or the other is not a freaking vertical. So I mean, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, now what?
Yeah, that's a contradiction, right? To have vertical being vertical, and also not vertical. Different. Like the vertical here is a different orientation than the vertical over there. Ridiculous statement to make.
Yes. Yet both are vertical. And on a diagram, neither can be vertical. You could have neither one be vertical. And then someone will say, oh, yeah, those are both verticals. What?
Yeah, that's bad whenever you can consider it in reality to be not.
That's
vertical.
when they say you don't understand.
Yeah, that's when Buster song comes out. Yep.
Yeah, and every time I hear someone say you don't understand, Buster comes into my head.
That's the only response that you're ever going to get out of this, because most people, I think, if you're thinking of it from a logical point of view, then somebody else who's got a broken mind will have to tell you that you don't understand what they're doing. And that may be true, right? Because they might be mad. and it's hard
maybe you
for
can't.
a sane person to understand what's in the mind of a mad person. That might be your sign to get out of the arena, right?
Yeah, which is I was just going to say, which is why your recommendation, Bev, is so right. Some you just have to leave behind. But I don't. I think the thing is, we've known too many call themselves flat earther, like Rob, like Paige, who we don't want to give up on people like that. There's still people caught in that part of the false dichotomy that we should be able to have a conversation with and just say, look, it's not flat. Just drop it. Do yourself a favor and drop it.
Yeah, but
There's
then what am
no
I going to
value.
talk about?
You talk about all sorts of things, Rob.
Talk about
You could
spotting the
No, I can't.
contradictions.
Yeah, talk about spotting the contradictions. That's
The
perfect.
geometry.
We could do that.
Talk about the geometry of it without ever bringing up what shape the Earth is.
You can
I don't think
literally
the Earth
get
has
rid
a
of
shape.
flat. There's no need for it. It's never really used. Unless you're a roofer. I can't think of any other purpose for using it.
Concrete.
Does it itself. Self levels.
Fluid. It usually does that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no need for that word at all.
Especially when the tendency is to want to conflate that word with establishing a horizontal or level. When you know damn well we've done the synonym argument, then what does it say about vertical? Can you not have a flat vertical? And then if you can't, then vertical is an antonym to flat. How is that possible?
Yeah, it's the word game, isn't it? That's ended us up here. Because if you can associate level and horizontal with flat, then that can be proved. Although most people haven't got a clue how to prove it, but you can take it as an assumption or an axiom, whatever you want to do, and then say, well, since our claim is that the Earth's flat, well, flat can be proved because it's a synonym of level and horizontal, and they can be proved. That's an axiom. So therefore, must be true. Just bring Earth into it again. And say it must be, mustn't it? I think that's what's happened. People imagine that they can have a proof of an axiom that they haven't really got a clue about. And then they've made this word association game that's ended up with them imagining that the Earth's flat due to it being a synonym of level and horizontal. But what's missing, I think, is the idea of what this proof thing is. How you derive a proof. Because it has to be, right? When you say something, you have a proof of something, you have to be 100% certain of it. Otherwise, it's not a proof. If there's any chance it could be falsified, this cannot be a proof. And whether that scares people or what nowadays, I don't know. But how many people can actually say that about anything? And if you were to start, where would you start with what could be proved within reality? And then I think you might get a clue about what we've been doing here over the last 6 years, I don't know. No, how many years? It's been a while. I think that's what flat earthers are upset about now. Because I've been trying to tell them for a fair few years that the earth isn't actually flat. And the proofs within reality will prove what they are there to prove. Like, you can prove that level is horizontal, i.e. a straight line within a plane. Which comes first? Well, if you prove that level is horizontal, then they're both linked together. Can't separate the two. The water level will apply to the physics of reality. Therefore, it will be provable multiple ways. But it doesn't prove that the Earth's flat. It just goes to prove that things in reality will comport with reality. Then it's up to you to make the implications that you want to make. But it'll never prove that the Earth's flat. You will be able to prove that level is horizontal, though. And if you want to, you could always set up a false dichotomy and prove whatever you want, really.
Really weird these modern times, I think, where false dichotomies are coming out of the woodwork. And when you do have true dichotomies, people are being told that that's not really a true dichotomy. Speaking about the kind of the men and women thing, we won't go further into that, but
Yeah, they know it's a false dichotomy. Certain people know it's a false dichotomy. Either that, or they don't know what a false dichotomy is. There's always chance of that. But listening to that one today, Nathan Oakley, the oldest show from the beginning of the year, Mike Dornan says, when Bev pushed Nathan for his proof of FE was when he came out with his "it's measured flat." I think it was when we made the argument that, if the Earth is flat, measured elevation change proves that it's not flat. When we came up with that argument, I think that's what this is, because it's a direct result of, that argument. I think the one that John said wasn't an argument when Flatsoid said he could prove the flat Earth. I think that's when things started to change for us, mainly. Although Nathan had been doing it with the angle thing for a fair bit. I think the Globe guys let Nathan in on that we here on the level are not good for this false dichotomy.
It sounds like these days Nathan would just about agree with anything as long as it's the opposite to what you say.
It's pretty much like the Globe guys. And I mean, I noticed that really early on, that there's a strength in getting to a truth statement first. Because when they've set up a narrative that I can't be correct, then when you're saying a simple truth first, they have a hard time. Oh, Nightbot's working again. Well done. That's good. So check your live. What's going on? I don't know.
Hey, Bev, what's a false dichotomy?
A dichotomy within logic is where you have two choices. So for the instance of a light switch, right? The dichotomy of the light switch is either it's on or it's off. So that would be a true dichotomy for the light switch. Either on or off. A false dichotomy is something that they give you two choices, but they're both false. Like
So like
both off or both on.
Yeah.
Or there's actually a third or more options.
Or more or less off or
Yes.
more or less on.
Put a dimmer switch on.
All right.
But that
Thank you
would
very
still be
much.
on or off.
Mhm.
I figured I'd ask you. I kind of didn't know for myself, but I mean, for anybody else in the YouTube who didn't know, there you go. I know.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the. I've got a series of arguments, and one of the way to start it off, I think, is to show people the idea of the false dichotomy. So the first two arguments are made around statements that can be made, claims that are made about things, and then you can make a modus tollens. So for this instance, you could say that if the Earth is flat, because somebody's made a claim, as in Nathan Oakley would make the claim that the Earth is measured flat. Well, I'd say that there would be no measurable elevation change, whereas Nathan Oakley would say it's measured flat. So if you can measure an elevation change, to me, that would mean that the Earth's not flat. Nathan Oakley seems to think that that's how you measure it flat, which it's never been explained. And that's half of the problem with Nathan Oakley.
Well, I think the newest trend though is if you can establish a horizontal plane of reference, then flat. But as you point out, the way to really check for flat or not flat is you need to verify elevation change or not. Establishing a horizontal plane of reference is only the first step in determining whether there's an elevation change. So you haven't even done the entire process to determine even if you wanted to say flat or not flat, or elevation change or no elevation change. But they're just on to, hey, if establishing a horizontal plane of reference, Earth is flat.
Can I add too that even if they're measuring on water and the water is still, you could get to the next bit of land, have the land go up, and then have another sea on the other side of that land that's held in by higher ground that's higher than the sea that you were at before. So it's not the same level. So still not flat.
Still not. And a great point, Paige. And when they go to sea level, the sea levels aren't the same either. Depends on where you're measuring them.
Yeah, and they're done on the vertical. They're points taken.
No, sea level is horizontal.
No, sea level is not horizontal.
I'm
not the same
trying
thing
to
at all.
tell you their rebuttal.
I see.
Without saying their rebuttal, that would be their rebuttal, because it's level, it's sea level, so it's level, so it's horizontal, so it's a straight line.
I have general objection against this level because
Please.
word level also in English, as far as I know, and the same in Polish, is means it has two meanings. First meaning is like sea level. It is, for example, there are communications from meteorology or whatever. That's that level of something will be this or that, and they are talking about level like high level or low level. So it is elevation or
Yeah, it's the
yes,
height of something above,
Yeah, yeah,
or in relation to
yeah,
something, a
yeah.
reference.
So this is one meaning of level, and second meaning of level is just level. It means that it is horizontal. So it is orientation. So first meaning would be not orientation because it is just elevation or height of something, like um, you can measure height of atmospheric pressure or level of pressure.
Yeah, well,
So
one of them is in reference to something else, the height, and
yeah,
then the other one is like a balance in reference
yeah,
to itself.
yeah, balance,
Yeah.
exactly. It is balance. So level as balance and level as height, let's say. And they are confusing because Nathan Oakley, when he's talking about sea level, he thinks maybe that this word level means a horizontal orientation. It doesn't. It is not. It is just level in that kind of meaning, like level of pressure or whatever you can say, level of anger, you can say, whatever. It's just measurement of something between 0 and more or less. But it is not, it has no orientation. But as balance, it is different, and there is no balance in that mean sea level, for example. It is balance, okay, because it is average, so you can say that it is balance, but between extremities on vertical datum. So it does not apply to the second meaning of level, being horizontal. For me, it is quite opposite. It's just vertical datum. And level establishes horizontal and has nothing to do with mean sea level or sea level. So it just that you cannot compare it or equivocate. Let's say better word. You cannot equivocate these two because they have different meanings. I don't get it why they cannot understand that.
Well, perhaps it's a willful misrepresentation, right? I've noticed that the mind can imagine things for itself. It will misrepresent, and that's why I think people have ended up in this situation, because a lot of people have done what Nathan Oakley have done. They've misunderstood what level is. I don't know why. Maybe because somebody said that level is a straight line on a horizontal plane and then went on to prove it.
It is, of course, but this is this second meaning,
Yeah.
completely separate from like mean sea level.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't need to prove the other one, would you? You can watch it. You can watch a tide
Yeah,
go up and down. I mean, that.
you can measure sea level, so you can change. You can measure changes on sea level, and as you said, it is measured in Newland, for example, very precisely and for a long time. So there are many readings on vertical datum. So it is a point moving up and down, up and down. and this is average from that. So this is that kind of level. Nothing to do with horizontal orientation. I would say quite opposite, because it is on vertical datum. So if you can ascribe some orientation to mean sea level, it is vertical. It is perpendicular to horizontal. Nothing to do with horizontal mean sea level.
Yeah, Brian's logic, he definitely, his opinion is, and in reply to me, he said, we just said mean sea level is a height reference. It's not a horizontal reference. And he said, incorrect. Mean sea level is a horizontal plane that all elevations are referenced to. The elevations are vertical distances above and below that horizontal plane. Further.
It is contradiction, because and you can say that you can have level, meaning horizontal, on different levels. You can have levels on different levels. I am using the word level in two different meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is still true.
Yeah. I mean, I keep saying it's the level of the sea, you know, the height level of the sea, and not the sea being level. He said, replied to somebody else, who asked the question. We're talking about mean sea level. He said, lol, you're kind of stunted, I think, as mean sea level is equal at all points everywhere. The differences are tide differences and not a difference in the mean. So in Australia, they have less fluctuations of tide than in America, but their MSL points are exactly horizontal with each other. The difference is the tides, not the mean sea level, and incorrect again, as I've shown with citation in the past. The site reduction tables in the Nautical Almanac pre-assume that mean sea level is the adjacent of the right angle triangle, so that would make MSL a horizontal. I can also prove this without a shadow of doubt with dip correction, especially with elevation angles to Polaris. He also thinks that all mean sea levels are at the same point everywhere.
Well, they are all zero. He's right in that respect.
Yes, but
They're respective zeros. Yes.
This only means that they have the same numerical value. It means nothing really.
Well, they all would be level, right? They all would be a mean measured on the sea level, and they all would be level. So they do have a fair few things in common, but to be able to say that they're the same, you'd have to refer one to the other, and that's been done, and they find that they're not the same.
Yeah, I've heard Nathan say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I've heard him say across the world.
Yes, across the world. I have too. You know, if you look at the ODL page, it says, you know, that the sea level that was at Newlyn isn't the sea, you know, the average sea level anymore anyway. You know, and that there are varying heights all around just the UK itself. You know, varying heights of what would be mean sea level. And then he says to somebody else, no, the East Coast has a different tide system than the West, because the East Coast and Europe is closer than the West Coast and Asia. But the mean sea level for both are exactly the same. All elevations are verticals, and all verticals are perpendicular to horizontal. All verticals are parallel to each other, and all horizontals are parallel to each other. And all elevation angles are right angle triangles, as I've shown and proved in the past. So all mean sea level points make one massive horizontal plane of reference.
Well, so that's an assumption.
Yeah, But as the guiding light of Nathan's thinking on this, because he's the guy behind celestial navigation and these prescriptive ideas, because Nathan doesn't know. He just absorbs stuff from people around him and then finds a way to deliver it to the public in the way that he does, almost as fast as Witsit most of the time. So they do see it as just one horizontal, and that's where I think a lot of the thing is this zoom in, zoom out function that people have, where they see some area that looks rabbit's ears flat and assume that everywhere is like that. And they zoom out in their minds and then say, and I've heard Brian say it, the whole is flat. You could describe it as flat. The whole.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen the whole, have you? Well, no, not really, but you can see what's in their minds is that idea that mean sea level is a horizontal reference. It's the same.
That's what
just one, and I think going along with the the 70 to 71% claim of the Earth being water, which wherever that came from, then extrapolate that out to be this. Well, 70% of it is horizontal then. And it's that kind of thinking when they can't see any further than where they can see, wherever you might be at the time. Even if you're up in an aeroplane, you can see a bit more distance than on the ground. It's a zoom out function, I think I call it anyway.
I just wanted to add, they go up 120,000 feet. Well, they don't actually, but they see a camera go up 120,000 feet, and it all looks flat. Just looks. So my whole world view is based on what I see with my eyeballs, not any measurements made.
Yes,
and consistently people I've asked about proof. When they talk about proof and ask for proof, they always go to observation. There isn't any proof. Oh, you can see there's no curve. You can see, So you're now talking about observation. You said there was a proof. So what is that? Well, shut up, you retard. Get out. Sorry, go on.
Talking about height and this observation from high elevation, yes, it is true, but this is just perspective compression. If you are, let's say, I don't know, several kilometers above the surface, hills and valleys, you cannot see that there are hills and valleys because you see in one plane. Because perspective is compressed at that distance. So it looks flat. So pictures of photos from that height show that it looks flat. Yes, I agree, but this is just from perspective, that kind of perspective, and it is nothing about measuring anything. So it's okay, you can say that.
But if it looks flat, it's case closed to a flat Earth.
Well, okay, so if so, no problem. But if someone is saying that it is measured flat, it is not measured from height. So you don't measure anything from aeroplane. You don't measure elevation changes from aeroplane.
No, when a claim is made, then a model must exist for there to be a claim about it, a proof. We can prove it's this. Okay, so there must be a model that follows this proof. But nobody really wants to make any claim about model, so they just throw around this word proof. And I talked to a guy the other day, and I know he's a bit early in 24/7, but he's been shipped in by the management there, and I call him a bouncer. So I said, "Oh, you're just a doorman. You're just a bouncer at the moment. And once you've got the script, they'll give you mod powers, and then you'll get a bit more promotion." But he would want to argue about measuring the Earth flat, and he said he was in the army. He'd been in the army. He's Australian. He'd been in the army, and he set up his mortar. And he said there's two bubble levels on the mortar, one for the base for the tripod to sit level, and one for the tube, the roll of the tube to be level, or maybe it's upright, but level upright. And and he went on long stories about the enemy and the blast area of a mortar and all this stuff, and then and to claim that the Earth was flat because he could level his mortar. I said, well, all you just said, you never mentioned the word measurement. You just established that, you made your mortar level, so you will have a chance at hitting your target. But you had to do it because the Earth underneath it isn't. Otherwise, you would have no need to establish it. You just stick your tripod on and start firing. He just doggedly stuck with this idea that because his mortar had been established to be upright and level, therefore Earth measured flat. And he's new in it, and exposes the management system over there. But this is the same. It's the same as Nathan saying today as we listened, and that you can establish a horizontal reference. Ergo, the Earth is flat, because just for the fact that you can establish a horizontal reference, it's just a ridiculous thing, really ridiculous. But they persist, and nobody really wants to see through the illusion onto.
I think we've got Stephen Jarvis in the chat, and he seems to be supporting this thing. He said, let me just check. Surveyed, what is it? Surveyed as a rectangle with 90-degree angles, but the southern border is 26 miles longer. Well, that's a contradiction. Like, how can Stephen not see that contradiction?
He's referring to this Wyoming or whatever.
Wyoming.
Yeah, how can it be both surveyed as a rectangle, but have a longer side, making it not a rectangle? I mean, that's a blatant contradiction. I mean, I don't know who he thinks is holding this contradiction either, because he's the one stating it.
And I would say just a lie. I don't care who says that that's a rectangle. It's not a rectangle.
Well, you might think it is. I mean, it seems like he's one of these people that can't see the contradiction. He's the one stating it, isn't he? He's stating that it's surveyed as a rectangle, but it's not a rectangle. So that's his contradiction. He's the one stating it.
Come on. Yeah, I love the image of where Kev was describing when he went there. And crazily enough, there isn't a right angle construction there to say, this is it, folks. This is it. There's nothing. It's just trees and grass and road and
There was a sign. There was a sign.
Who would ever know?
Where I crossed, there was a sign, and then if you go from the neighboring state across, there's also a sign. That's really the only tangible thing there is.
Yeah.
You are now entering Wyoming.
Yeah, because we live on the globe. Please don't beg the question.
This globe, therefore, rectangles will have one side longer than the opposite side.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Again, it's the magic spell, isn't it? You know,
Stephen
that idea
Jarvis,
about that
please.
Wyoming has been mapped that way at all, and that people will hold on to that. Well, there's definitely a rectangle. Well, it's not really, but you know, that means it's it's squarical-ish, sort of.
Squarical. Yeah, sort of.
We were talking
Sorry,
about
Clayton.
fallacies for years. So I politely asked Stephen Jarvis to check what affirming the consequent is. This is formal logical fallacy. So if he's saying that something happens, for example, this rectangle being not rectangle because we live on the globe, and this is a proof of the globe, it is affirming the consequent fallacy. So please don't do that here, at least.
That's getting called into the headmaster's office.
They're just showing you, aren't they? That, you know, that they do have a problem with these contradictions, and thus have a problem with the fallacies, because I'm not so sure they'll ever be able to see them either.
Yeah, and I don't know. He's written in the chat there. I mean, I don't know whether you can't see the chat right now. Whether he will acknowledge that, or he will fight against it. That contradiction right there. He'll either see it or he won't, I guess, or admit it or won't. But it's an obvious contradiction, isn't it?
Well, is this an implication of their having to have problems with perpendicular? A rectangle would show those problems, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that this is one of the ones that the false dichotomy team can all agree on. You may have a problem with the verticals and horizontals, right? But let's swap to Wyoming and let's deal with this one, because certain flat earthers have these curved lines also, don't they? Because the southern border,
yes,
would be this straight line thing. That's the that's the common. They can at least all join together within the false dichotomy and misunderstanding of geometric principles. Stephen, no. I mean, unless you want to try and set up one ridiculous scenarios and say that the globe can have it. No, the real globe comports with reality. You can't have that. It doesn't work, Stephen. You can't make up a scenario where triangles can have 270 degrees and say these belong with the globe. It doesn't work like that.
I wouldn't name globe an owner of anything. So why he's saying that the globe owns a triangle?
Yeah, a globe can have a triangle with 3 90-degree angles. Is that true? I'd say no.
I think that the triangle and concept of triangle is in our mind. So we are owners of triangles, not the globe.
That's where the globe exists also, though. Don't forget about that.
Same place. Unless your globe is your monad. Then if the globe is your god and you've personified your god into a globe, or a flat earth for that matter, then it can do the same things that human beings can do. It can own things, hold things, contemplate things.
That's a dangerous journey, because
indeed
it is even mentally it is impossible, really, because to worship product of your mind as a separate entity, for me it is just even worse than schizophrenia, I think, because I cannot imagine my thought thinking on its own. So if I can, for example, imagine someone in my head, in my mind, some entity, and this entity, I cannot imagine this entity as being separate from my thought. So really, I couldn't worship that kind of thing, but strange times. Because it's like worshipping model. You can create model in your mind, and and it's okay, but worshipping it as a separate entity, I don't think so. It's not healthy, I think.
I would agree. Anybody know what a dumpy level is?
Yeah, it's just it's like an auto level.
Early
but-
auto level.
Yeah, early version.
Sort of thing builders used years ago, yeah. Setting out oversights and building, footings and things like that, yeah. Same as an auto level, really.
It's like a trade name, like Hoover, if you will.
Oh, why is he saying it's your dumpy level? Stephen
know.
says, Bev, I totally agree with your dumpy level. I've done enough myself.
I don't know.
Done enough dumpy levels, or
Well, they established horizontal planes, right? So I mean, maybe that's what he agrees with.
I don't know. It's a
An
bit
auto
unclear.
level establishes a horizontal. Half of the problem here is just the communication, isn't it? Like we've been really studying rhetoric and how to communicate because
Yes.
it seems like they've built up their own narrative or whatever within this arena. There's certain arguments or certain conversations that are they're more fluid within this arena as long as you understand where the conversations are going. But most of the time, those can lead you down these paths that lead you into the false dichotomy. Time to step out of it. And I mean, call us pedantic if you want, but this is pretty simple where we go, and we just go with reality. No contradictions. I've got a thing wrote on the board here. I think this is the basis of the philosophy of on the level, and this starts with the truth cannot contradict itself. And if you go with that, then you're always going to find the truth. If you do away with all of the contradictions and you come up with statements that don't contradict themselves, then you're on your way to discovering truth, I think.
Yeah, or you'll end up at epohe because there's no determining.
Yeah, if you find
Cannot
out
know.
you cannot know certain things that you know that you cannot know, then put that in the basket of epohe. Rachel became a baller when she studied the science. Science of what? A rectangle not being a rectangle but being surveyed as a rectangle. I mean, that sounds mental. if that's what changed Rachel, then wow. Is geometry a science? Because I mean, can you science geometry? Is it possible, or has it already been done? Is geometry the thing that you cannot science? It's already had the shit scienced out of it. In fact, it probably was a product of science to start off with, the science of geometry. Settled science, I think you could call that. Or, I mean, would somebody want to debate about that? Too sure. JC can't see me. Rachie didn't study jack squat. Her and Ranty were believers in globe since day one. I'd have to agree with you. I think there's a lot of people been placed within this arena to play flat earthers, and it's never going to change, because there's a certain portion of people within false dichotomy that need to keep the false dichotomy alive. And since the globe is a construct within your mind, like triangles, for instance, then everybody has their own. Certain people can have ideas of triangles having more than 180 degrees, and certain people can't. Well, that's what happens in people's minds. You can't talk about globe with someone, because the moment you come up with a contradiction, and you're struggling. Some people may have opposite sides of this contradiction within their globe models. Jarvis does say it's a field of science, as is mathematics. Issue super chat says, is there some OTL in the field planned for 2024? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. We're going to be going back to Bedford pretty soon. And next weekend, next Sunday, we're going to go on a trip to go and meet some guys. Not really much out in the field. I hope we can get out on the beach and do another Under the Horizon. That'd be good to do. But we are going to be going to Bedford to film a bit of stuff for the final reductio ad absurdum argument. And then we might make a push for Dave Weiss's 3 Bitcoin. Seeing as nobody else is going for it. Has to be, right? Simultaneous below. Yeah, pilgrimage to Bedford level. So everyone will let everybody know when we're going to go down there. You want to come and meet the crew? Get a picture taken with you holding, dangling a plumb bob over a bridge.
I don't think I'll be able to make it.
No. Hey, do a shout out for our mate Gadget, the artist. Has anyone seen him around? If you're listening, Gadget, let us know you're all right, mate. Not heard from you for a bit. No doubt there's other people, but strange not seeing Gadget for a bit. I hope he's doing all right. Yeah, we might try and do a green screen thing so you can Photoshop yourself holding a plumb bob. It's going to be a big thing. Yeah, I don't want to bring the tone down, but yeah. Just noticed. Gadget, shout out. So, where do we go from here? Because it seems pretty clear that the arguments that we've got are, they're needed. within a proof that proves that the Earth's not flat. You can't then take that and say that that proves that the Earth is flat, because that would be contradictory. And I don't know whether somebody would be brave enough to take that and say that we didn't know what we were doing. Therefore, you can undo the argument and change it into something. I don't know. I don't know how you can undo an argument that's already been made, other than to rebut it and falsify the argument. But since that doesn't seem to be coming, I'm not too sure where the play for the flat earthers is at the minute. I'd say it'd probably be better if they stuck to like Coriolis and gas pressure, stuff like that. Because there's certain arguments that aren't going to work in your favour. It'd probably be a good idea now to redefine flat, I would think. Or how about coming to the realization that it's been handed to you possibly by a lie? Maybe at the inception of this whole thing, maybe somebody's handed you a flag and said, wave this flag. But perhaps that's a lie.
Could you imagine? Here, pick up this flag, wave it. Yes, people will be shooting at you.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it. Just wave the flag.
Yeah.
And then you ask, well, I mean, is there any value in this flag that I'm raising? Any, can I hang my hat on this? Is this something that's going to affect me in the future? No, just pick up the flag and keep waving it. And there are people that do. That's a great analogy. I love that. Or maybe a metaphor, picking up the flag, being the standard bearer of something while the bullets zoom at you.
It's just the fault. Maybe it's because I didn't point out to the flat earthers, how I wasn't a flat earther strongly enough. But,
Perhaps, but who knew that the quote, the flat earth, quote unquote, was going to be as bad or worse than the globe? I mean, who could have predicted that? I mean, it was an interesting thing. I fell into it. You didn't, Bev, but I did for a minute. Right until I realized I just replaced one globe with another. Yeah, it looks different. You could say it's flat or a disc or whatever. But as you pointed out earlier, right? Hey, they have one thing in common, don't they? There's at least one thing they can have in common, which is go a certain direction, you're going to go in a circle.
Yeah.
Because of what? Magnetics? A thing that you hold in your hand that tells you where you're going, and that tells you that you're going in a circle? So you're going to get rid of perpendiculars, east, west, north, south, because of that. You give up geometry. You give up the actual pure logic for that. That's when it hit me, that you're just giving up one, I call it God, right? You're just giving up one little g God for another little g God. It's like, just let it go. It's not that important.
I think that was the thing early on. I've been into this for so long now. It's hard to, put myself back in those early days. And I would imagine most people that have been in this for any amount of time are the same, right? It's hard to be able to place yourself in that early position where 99% of everybody is, right? But that doesn't make you an expert in this. It just makes you aware of the tricks. But if you can't explain the tricks or why, you know, that they are tricks, then I don't know I don't know what's going on. You're keeping that circular thing going, which is the false dichotomy.
Yes. And then you learn nothing, right? To me, anyway. You learn nothing about the wizardry that's being played on you every day. There's all sorts of flags that people tell you to pick up and wave. And if you're willing to pick up and wave this flag, what makes you think you're going to be able to resist picking up another flag? Maybe a Republican flag or a Democrat flag or a conservative flag or a labor flag or a, I don't know, a Catholic flag or a Islamist flag, or pick your flags, people. How many flags have you been handed?
Yeah, maybe somebody's handing you the flags.
Yeah.
And saying you're
Before you
waving
realize,
this. It's
yeah.
like, I'm not waving it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just pick this flag up off the floor. This is yours, isn't it? It's like, no.
Well, I will say, I do have a flag tattooed on my body.
Is it a Canadian flag, Rob? That's all I need to know.
Yes.
All right.
And it's big.
I mean,
it's the only tattoo I got. I got it for free.
But that's a flag but that's a flag you picked up, right? You didn't. Somebody didn't hand that to you and said, "Rob, you're going to get this tattoo," unless they did.
No.
What
they did was they said, you can get a tattoo for free, or I can pay you to reupholster this chair. I was like, fuck it, I'll get a tattoo.
Okay, so you accepted the flag. That's different, right? I mean,
I was like, what the fuck am I going to put on my body that's going to be there forever? Well, if I ever travel the world and I die somewhere, they'll know where to ship me.
Well, yes, there's nowhere to ship your body. Fair enough, but it is different if it's your belief, right? You haven't been handed something. It's something that you've, whether it's conjured up in your own mind or it's a faith that you hold or whatever. That's different than being handed something and you didn't even realize you were handed it, but you were handed it, and now you're waving this flag. They have these conversations all the time, easier in regards to politics, right? Or religion,
Trying
where
to find the picture.
my parents were a certain a certain party of politics, or their parents or their grandparents, or well, I was raised a certain religion or whatever. Well, that's handed to you. That's been handed to you. Same thing with this. This has been handed to you. This false dichotomy has been handed to the people in this arena. They gladly accept it. But on the flat earth side, it's even sadder to me because they're supposedly the ones that have come at this from a perspective of, oh, we're going to find the truth. Rewind now to, a couple of hour and a half ago when we were talking about truth. What truth do you think you have if you actually utter the words, Earth is measured flat? That's just crazy to me, but that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is being handed to people without... There's nobody that can have any explanation for it in my idea, because I can't even imagine how you would do it. The actual act of measuring something flat it's a contradiction. It's a zero measurement. So when you're handed something that's as obvious as that, and then you start waving it, because I think I've always thought this. that they were handed, flat earthers who were handed this flat earth based upon a guy from the Flat Earth Society, known
Yeah.
Flat
Yeah.
Earth Society. And even most people, most flat earthers don't trust the Flat Earth Society. Yet they were the guys that handed them the title, the Flat Earth.
Exactly. Yep. Gord's has got it. Gord says, quote, "We're going to find the truth," unquote. Yet they're so freaking sloppy with their language. You'd think that they know better now that they know that they've been lied to. Yeah. Well said, Gord's.
Yeah. Yeah, and since this, the laws of communication, I don't know what they're called, laws of logic or whatever, but I call them the laws of communication because that's how you can tell whether it's worth talking to someone or not, whether you can actually communicate with them. I mean, this whole journey really is a journey to find how quickly, because we don't have that much time. Nobody really wants to waste time communicating with people that can't really be communicated with. So this was a test to how quickly you can find out whether you can communicate with someone. Because if somebody's willing to have accept a contradiction, then
I know I posted my tattoo.
I know, I saw that. It's not big, that, is it, Rob? It's just a little one.
No, it's in between my shoulder blades on my back, and it's probably 8 inches by 6 inches.
All right, that's decent size. But what if someday you become an American citizen, Rob? Then what?
I was born in Canada. I will always be in
Okay.
Canada.
All right. Okay.
Don't worry about
Good
that.
answer.
That means
Good answer.
That's why
that
I
means
had
that
to.
Rob
I
is
had to pick
the
one.
ultimate Canadian.
I had to pick
Yes.
something permanent. Remember?
Stars and stripes on his chest.
That's right. Over his heart. Over his heart. That's what'll happen.
I consider it. I put the map, or I put the country on my back, and I'll carry it forever.
Nice. I like it. Nice sentiment.
I don't have a Canadian flag tattoo, so you just literally became the ultimate Canadian.
This is why Rob is the ultimate Canadian. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Turn Up.
Yeah.
The conversation Sorry, but the conversation going on in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
I mean, but Gord is on it. There's a conversation happening, and Gord says, "And neither of you could prove it." Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there's no
At
proof.
some point, this is all meaningless.
Even claims that there is no proof. That's one of their rules, is that you can't have proof.
Yes.
Which, I mean, obviously a result of Bacon and their misunderstanding of how to apply logic to the science. But, I mean, that's the new way forward. I'm not too keen on it, but like Jarvis was saying, that mathematics is a science. Well, not with the new understanding of science. Science changed. And if somebody like Jarvis is still unaware of that there's a difference, right? The new modern science can't have proof, yet mathematics is entirely based upon proofs.
Mm-hmm.
You can't apply the same rules to both. That's contradictory, and we don't go with that. So I would go with the science that proves things. Since if you were to go with the science that doesn't prove things, you would literally have to give up all of the proof system. And I hold proofs. I can't just give them up. It's not something that you can do.
No. Would anybody out there give up a proof for a contradiction? How about anyone out there? Anyone?
Dogma. Proof for dogma.
Yeah. Proof for dogma.
I mean, that's a song lyric, that. Could you exchange proof for dogma? Would you be willing to exchange that? I've got a nice shiny globe for you. You've just got to hand over all of your proofs, and I'll give you some dogma that you can't question. And that works from both sides as well.
I had a question for you guys on a different topic, sort of related. I posted a picture in the agents live. I got a friend request from somebody who looks familiar, but a weird name. Thought somebody might want to look and see if they recognize this person.
I can't tell, but
it looks very close to a globe hugger we know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's only got 8 friends.
It's a troll account. It's definitely a troll Facebook account.
A new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got Facebook. It's one of the places I've never really been interested in. Twitter was really just to, see how I could learn to argue with minimal words and communicate with people. Discord's really the place where it's at, because you've got the communication, you've got the ability to live stream music. It's like a broadcast system, really. You can do all sorts of stuff in Discord. I'm not too sure about Facebook. I know there's a lot of different places that have popped up now. But yeah, I've never really been interested in Facebook.
I've had my Facebook account since 2007.
How many times have you been silenced? Had to take a time out for saying the wrong things?
Never.
Never. No.
Never.
You've done the wrong thing then, Rob. If you've never been banned on Facebook.
Well, I've never been done on Twitter. They've never took me for anything.
I did get a temporary ban on Twitter. I've been thrown off Facebook numerous times. Their algorithm is so fast on Twitter, on Facebook, that I remember the first time it hit me was during the big disease that terrified us all. And there was a whole thing about testing, and they said that the best test was to test feces. That was the way to test, really, at one time. And so there was this picture that went around, and there was like a testing station. It was outside in the car park, like they were. You went go get tested in a car park drive-through, and some guy was there with his bum sticking out of the car window, and a nurse holding her arm out with a cotton bud on it. And I thought it was really amusing. And so I was going to send this to a friend of mine. It was just in the comments, and he said something. And I just thought, I'll send him this picture. He'll laugh about this. And I sent the picture. And as soon as I pressed post, it was immediate. The algorithm, I don't know how it did it. How it came up with this. You were showing nudity or something like that. It was. And I was immediately banned for 7 days. And he never even received the picture. Nobody ever saw it. Just immediate. It's happened 2 or 3 times with odd pictures. The funniest one was, I don't know if anybody saw it, there was a protest, and it was a women, I guess, well, they were just women. I don't know whether they were particularly feminist or anything, but they were just women, just protesting for women's rights. And there was one of those metal barriers between on the side of the road, between protesters and things. And the other side of the barrier were these guys who were trans. They had no shirts on, so they were naked on the top. And they were shouting, we're real women, F you bitches, and we're women. And I thought, with that again, I just thought it was just ridiculously humorous. And I sent that to somebody, and I was immediately banned. And I decided to appeal it. And within a very short period, they backed down and said, okay. I thought, it just fits the narrative. So that's allowed. That kind of stuff's allowed. But yeah, very fast algorithms on there. I don't bother with Facebook anymore. It's just ridiculous. I never see anybody I know on there anymore. Get sent loads of spam stuff from Facebook, or depends what you click on. They give you a personal algorithm. But going back to things that are handed to you, I was thinking that, we've been handed things ever since we were born. When it started with our name, we were given a name. And then we relate to that name, and everybody relates to that name and who it is, and that person, that kind of illusory person that we carry around with us. There isn't anything to do with us at all, in essence. Just a word that we become known by, and then we're surrounded by all the people, the mirrors of the people that we learn to live by. And it takes a long, long time, I think, to get to a place of clarity where you attract your own reflection. So yeah, you get what you are from the world around you somehow. And the clearer you can become, and the more aware you can become, the more different things are attracted, and the like is attracted to you. You begin to meet other people and have other experiences that are a mirror of this new understanding, this new awareness, this floating consciousness that you might have inside yourself, hopefully. And yeah, it takes a time for that to happen, and begin to unpick, who you might be, who you are, to see that reflection in other people that shows you that you aren't all those things that you grew up with, the illusions and the things you're taught, and the people around you, even your family, who maybe don't really have a clue either. But you kind of imprint this stuff on you. If you're lucky enough, you might be able to find a way out. I mean, Rob's got a flag, but I don't identify with any country at all myself. It's just I live somewhere, happen to be here in this kind of body that I've got, that was in this country or this place. But I don't really identify
myself.
You don't have to defend yourself, Rob. It's not criticism at all. I'm just talking about me, and personally me. That's me.
I know.
I was just saying,
yeah. I was born here, and if I ever leave the country and I die, they know where to ship my body.
Yeah. Mm. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, it wouldn't matter to me much, really. It is as it is. Yeah. So that's kind of odd. And when I meet, I've met a lot of people who rally around a flag and are nationalistic to where they were born. Yeah, I find that quite strange for me. I don't really identify with that. It just sometimes feels odd that I'm even in the body I am, and the person that I am, or who am I, because you're not your body. So then what?
Getting deep.
Yeah, well, then it's no deeper than, is it spherical or is it flat? Really, is it? They all lead to deep questions, deep understanding, because you've got to go beyond this illusion, and that can be scary to go beyond this illusion. And when because you've got to let go of everything in many cases. And if you just, yes, it's easy to trick yourself back into, well, I don't know, I'm not really sure. It's all right if you look at other people around, or you haven't seen another mirror of people who've done that before you, or are doing it at the same time as you. And yeah, it's okay. I'm not the only one who thinks this and feels this or experiences this in the way that I experience it. It seems similar to the way other people experience it. But, you talk about Plato, Socrates, and philosophy. It's deep. We are deep. But it's a task to dive deep. It is a task. It's a lot of work to work on yourself in the way, however effectively or ineffective. I'm not saying I've done it. It's all a journey, and how effective you might be. Moments of clarity about things, and moments when you just got to do the shopping and the daily stuff just covers you over. You're not really looking at the essence of things. I don't know whether that's possible all the time, unless you're going to be contemplating whatever on the mountaintop somewhere. But anyway, yeah, it is deep. But yeah, it's life, eh?
Oh, Stephen Jarvis. Bev, thanks for allowing the open chat. You're a good guy, a bit towards your Bedford trip. Look forward to your findings. Thank you very much, Stephen. Yeah, always open for discussion. If you want to come in, have a chat about stuff. There is obviously mathematical backing, so if anybody does want to come in and go over that sort of stuff, we're looking for particularly. I think there's two guys who would be handy for going over this. There's Matthew Learns, mathematics professor, and what was the other guy called? Was it David? Blues mate, blues friend. I don't know. Well, Scholar Source was his YouTube channel. I might be able to have a conversation with him coming up soon about an axiom within mathematics, because we will be delving a little bit deeper into that. Call it with the philosophy of mathematics. Philosophy of modern day mathematics. Because that sort of ties into the Bedford trip type thing, doesn't it? So it's well worth us going over that. Oh, yeah, I think we got some memberships got given out earlier. I don't know whether I managed to do that. Turns out Flatsoid's got a membership. So well done, Flatsoid. You'll be able to go over some of those members' videos.
Yeah, you might want to watch some of them older videos. Maybe enlighten you a little bit.
Why would Flatsoid want a membership to a place where the
he doesn't watch?
First, the channel.
He may not have wanted.
Well, he doesn't watch. Yes, but then also, hang on, Rob. Hang on, Rob. Didn't he say though that you were just a dishonest and liar, called you a liar, all sorts of things? Why would one want to? Do you think have a membership? Take away a membership from someone who might actually enjoy the content, just to be able to hate watch? I mean, it's an honest question. I'm not good on Flatsoid for getting it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know why people would click that thing, to get the membership. It appears that people are set on auto.
Maybe it's like just a reaction. They win something. It doesn't matter what it is.
Something's
He
going
said he
for
was going to
free.
leave the server, so maybe he just can't. It's difficult to let go of stuff, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
be quite difficult. So maybe I don't know if he's even left the server yet, but he did say he was going to. But maybe the YouTube is just, well, let's just go and have another little listen.
Well,
Maybe he found some truth.
I think that the conversation has to move on. We have the ability to do that, but I'm sorry, flat earthers, you can't come where we're going, because this isn't flat earth, what we're doing. This is about logic, and you have to apply this law of non-contradiction. You can't just pick and choose where you're going to apply it. You just can't. Flat earth is a contradiction. You either face up to that or, stick with the flat earth false dichotomy side of it, right? Because it's never going to go any further than that. Sorry, but that's the truth. Certain advantages are afforded people when you stick to reality. Simple truths within reality will show you open up new avenues of conversation. And yeah, I'm sorry, flat earthers, this isn't for you. You've got to drop the model. Drop the model and pick up these basic logical guidelines. Law of identity. Know your subject.
Water level.
Know the thing that you're talking about. Doesn't matter what it is, but you've got to stick to that, the identity of it. Don't change it. Don't flip your P's. Change the identity, because that's going to have consequences. Make sure that your statements can either be true or false. Don't put any vagueness in there to allow people to have a chance of including the middle. And don't contradict yourself. Don't allow contradictions. And the last one, obviously, sufficient cause. You have to have a reason for doing it. You can't just wake up one morning and decide you're going to make a new model. There has to be a reason for doing it. I think that's one of the problems. Now, I'm thinking Wednesday this week, guys. What do you reckon for going over Plato, Book 7, The Republic? Maybe do a reading? Or do you want to do it off live? Do you think? What's everybody think? We're going to be going into a little bit more philosophy, but this is more concerning education and the want and need for it.
We may have people actually interested in those types of conversations from both sides, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked last time quite well because it brought people into the Discord. And I think people have a bit more chance to speak a bit more freely about it, that rather than doing it live. Because, depends whether people want to get involved in that. I don't know. Maybe we might do an early bit. Let's say if we go for an hour or so at the beginning and then go into Discord for the rest of it. What does that sound all right? We did that last time, didn't we, when we started doing the logic? I like to take the idea of, taking it off live so that gives more people a chance to get involved in it. It's a bit more personal when you get into the Discord as well, and we're not live to YouTube. It's a bit freer, isn't it?
I'm up for that. No problem.
Yeah, it worked. It worked good
For
last
me.
time when we did it like that, didn't it? You know, we can always record it and, you know, put it out as a thing. But I think there's a certain book 7 within Plato. If anybody wants to, you know, have a bit of a read of it, and we'll see whether we can actually like go through it and read it at the same time. I don't mind reading a bit. Wednesday this week. Sound good? Everyone all right for that?
I am all right.
Jolly good. And then where we'll go from there, I don't know. I think there's another course that they did, a morality one, was it? Was it the morals?
Or ethics?
I think it was an ethics, yeah. Morals and ethics, I think. Philosophy course, which well worth doing at a university. I think we could go over that. I don't think it's as long as the other one, but be prepared for that if anybody does want to come and go through a philosophy course from a university. It's, you know, on the level, styly, not too heavy, just you know, an introduction to philosophy. I think we might have to sort out Mishu. We'll have a word about it, Mishu. We'll have a chat. Gorge, you might have to come into Discord. Just have to listen. Just keep yourself muted. We also had to ban Peter, the Globe Prover, Troll Team 6 member today. So, again, he won't be coming round. There's been a few conversations that we've got. I still need to have a few words with people. It appears that, you know, these guys have gone to really strange lengths to annoy flat earthers. It's really weird. Well, you know, when some of the conversations we've had with people around this arena, so strange. I mean, can you imagine somebody paying £100 a month to send messages to flat earthers? There's people that do that. Automated, so you don't even have to be there to send the messages yourself. You pay someone £100 a month to do that for you. Well, not someone. Imagine a bot. I mean, we all know it goes on, right? We all know that there are accounts that are likely manufactured just to do what? But I mean, now there are, with these AI programs, there are bots that you can make, and these AI programs will respond to people stating certain things within these platforms. That's known about. You're going to have to be careful now. Whenever you're communicating with anybody on the internet, do you know, or can you know, whether it's a real person there or not? If you're doing it in text, I'd say you haven't got a clue. Because they could be getting their information from ChatGPT and, you know, typing your questions into ChatGPT and getting the answer, pasting that answer back to you. It's very clever, the systems that they have nowadays. And if you can get bots that do it for you without you even having to be there, then that's an obsession. There are people heavily obsessed with whatever it is that goes on in this arena. You know, there's flat earthers that are obsessed with globe earthers that are obsessed with flat earthers. That's just a thing, an ongoing thing. But now it seems like there's flat earthers that are obsessed with non-flat earthers, and globers that are obsessed with non-flat earthers too.
Not globers, you mean?
You couldn't get yourself hated here, Gords. That doesn't happen. It's one of the things that we have. Where he is now, Rad? He's at work. He might be training lesbians again. He'd make sure that there's no hate. Just love, that's all. Isn't that right, guys? Here, there's no hate within this place.
Never.
I don't think it's allowed.
And support that. This is the only place that I think you can just kind of hang out that I've found so far. You just hang out and it's not just nonsense talk all day or arguments or, you know, belittling other people. You know, you can talk about your washing machine having broken down or your car or the garden or all sorts of things right through to whatever. And there's any shutting down of speech. It's really open, really open.
Yeah, Stephen says, thanks live chat offer, but at 73, I'll leave it. I'd say come in anyway. The conversation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, people who've been around a long time have got experience. You know, valuable people. Yeah. Little, I mean, like you go over to 24/7. They're about, some of them are 23 and in charge of the place. So probably better to listen to somebody who's been around and done a few things, maybe thought about some stuff. 73 is young anyway, isn't it? Really, it seems that, I think, if you get close to it. And when you're 20, 50, seems like, gee, those silly old people. When you get to 40, you think, shit, it's just round the corner. I still feel 21. I ask a lot of old people I meet, how old do you feel inside? 25, 28, 30. They're never feeling 80 like they told me they are. I'm 85. You feel 85?
You just took the words out of my mouth. I was
My
about
body's.
to come in. I'm only 45, but I feel 80 right now.
You feel 80.
How
I
would
do
you
ask a lot of
know
old
that, Rob?
Well, I'd have to have made it to 80, but I've seen some good shaped 80-year-olds, but I feel twice as old as I did like 5 years ago.
Yeah. It approaches
aches. I
fast
didn't
when
know
you get
it
to
ached.
that age. I think that's why we're all here. We all seem to be of a certain age around here, and that's the sort of time when you have to start contemplating what you're actually doing here. But, you know, up until this sort of time, everything's hectic, and it's getting longer and longer with the hecticness of modern day life. Keeps you distracted.
It always feels a long time looking forward, but when you look back, it's just like a snap of the fingers somehow. And when you remember some of the more stop and think about some of the details and things you did and kind of set up the space. And, oh, I've actually done some stuff that kind of could feel really quick just looking back and think, wow, how did I get here that quickly?
Yeah, you're not here for a long time, are you?
No, not at all. No, relatively not. No. And what is that time? Because when you get to where you are, it's just like the same moment. Somehow I know time's gone by, but gee, here we are.
Yeah, you realize you get to a certain age and you enter this arena and find that you may never have even had a proof to start off with.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's scary, realizing you're at a certain age with no proof of anything.
It is. And when we talk about contradictions, I'm often thinking that people don't even know what a contradiction is. To recognize it within themselves. Because you've got to do that first, haven't you? You've got to recognize the contradiction to be able to want to do something about it, be willing to do something about it, or feel you even need to bother. You've got to be confronted with it. And I don't know whether a lot of people actually are. They don't see it's a contradiction. But if you've got through your life and then to get to a point where you go, actually got any proof of? It's not much, really, is it? In a lot of cases, believed a lot of things. Well, there's things we've done you can prove we've done, but proof of existence, proof of things in reality, that's kind of a bit different.
Yeah, I am more interested in the what it was like in childhood, those sort of different times. At
Yours
70,
or
73, yeah, that, you should come in and have a chat. People seem to think that just because we make arguments, it means, I don't know. I don't know what it means. It's just we can make arguments and discuss them. We can disagree, and that's okay too. Nobody has to. Nobody's forcing anybody to follow any of the arguments or anything that we make. They're just arguments.
Yeah, not bickering. It's not like that at all. Just
We had a bit of a disaster with the cat, but it's all right. Got the missus. She's doing it, dealing with it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Your cat, all right. Your cat's getting old, eh?
Yeah.
You can hear when he's calling.
They're all women.
Yeah.
Don't have any male cats.
I wonder every time I hear your cat, I think, what's she saying? What's going on? He's trying to say something, give a message to somebody, not to me. Well, maybe to me. I do consider that too. Maybe it's not just Bev that she wants to talk to. But,
Stephen's going to bring his dad in.
wow.
Yeah.
Dad might be about 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an incredible change in times, in society and the social thing in 70 years. Incredible amount of change. I mean, around us, but I don't know about, the inside of us, whether that's necessarily changed.
Yeah, sorry. Sorting out the cat. Yeah, family's important. But it's also, I think it's important to know where you are as well. And I like the idea of, like we all get where we are because of the past. All of us have been led to this position because of conversations or whatever. We've all ended up within this arena. Now, this is a really weird place for anyone to end up at. But at least we're questioning stuff. At least, there's some sort of resolution coming, hopefully. And that's what people are here for. I don't personally know what's going on. And I'm pretty sure most people would be the same. We don't know where we are, what we're doing, or where we're going. Particularly within the future, because nobody can predict the future. Oh, who did that? That's a good quote, that, Kev. I'll have to keep that one.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, let me get that one. Keep it.
Nothing is so difficult as not deceiving oneself.
The word genius.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is so difficult as not deceiving oneself. That's a guy who's been through it.
Indeed.
Mentally, right? I don't think anybody's been as challenged as that particular guy. That's going to be a fascinating story to get into that. Once, because I think that's where we're going. I know I am, right?
Yes.
To go into, a study on how these people ended up at the position that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
And why they're different conclusions. Why, in fact, it's not even conclusions, is it? It's just the reason people think the way that they think. And the only way that you have to express that is with words. And then it's up to you as to how you use the words correctly to express what it is that you want to be able to express. And that's what that man did for this. Well, for me anyway.
Yeah. I'll speak for me. Like once I realized the meaninglessness of an arena like this, it drove me to philosophy, which is a great place to be, in my opinion.
Yes, along with Raven. Thank you very much, Raven.
Absolutely.
He started he gave us the ladder, didn't he? And he said,
sure did.
"Yeah, this is where you start. Here."
Say whatever anybody wants about what they believe, but in my opinion, Raven was a blessing from God to this place,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure to his family, but to this place for sure.
Yeah, the timing that he came in with his presentation was.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back over all of that sort of stuff and see whether anybody else is willing to pick it up, you know, take it on, maybe reform that whole thing to see whether we could learn anything from that old system of education, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
May come on the back of this, going over book 7.
Back over the Republic, yeah.
Because everybody's heard of the cave, the allegory of the cave. That's book 7, particularly within the Republic by Plato. Shadows. We'll be going over that with a look to furthering not only the allegory of the cave, but the want and need for education, because it does go a bit further than that. It's a bit, although it might seem a little bit strange to say that the allegory of the cave is a little bit superficial.
That does sound silly, doesn't it?
Yeah. But that is only the beginning of it. Like, literally, that's where you start. And yeah, there's going to be plenty of conversations, obviously, to take from that. Issue. Yeah, I mean, I'd even be interested to have a word with Arwin. I don't think Arwin really likes us to, you know, like an extreme.
Maybe someday. Who knows?
Never know. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some. I think we have some pretty interesting conversations, but it always seems to upset people, or they seem to leave. I don't know whether it's too much. I think ECV plays a big part in it. But people do that to themselves, I think.
Yeah. Call it, you know, your own. We all do it because we're human, right? But our own human conceptions. It's just, to me, it's whether or not those conceptions override your ability to critically think. And for an awful lot of people, it does. Seems to, anyway. So they end up leaving, get upset, leave.
Yeah, it's like you can be pained in different ways, right? Coming from the light to the dark, or from the dark to the light.
We'll go over that when we
adjustment either way.
Yep, when we go over the allegory of the cave.
Sorry to cut it short, but I gotta go on a road trip. So I'll probably see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
See you, Rob.
See you, Rob.
I got no data. I got no data. Otherwise, I would stick around. Out of data. Yeah, I used it all up. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. See you later. Everyone say bye, Rob. Look, everybody else is left as well, Rob, now. Now Rob's left.
Rob.
Yeah, I didn't have anything planned for tonight. I have got conversations that have been recorded with people, but I don't know. I know that the way that, you know, whenever you put anything out, people misunderstand the things that we've had. And we've had some conversations recently, over this weekend particularly, that I think people won't believe that how close people are to a nutsacking and the things that occur. And I don't want to seem like I'm mocking people within these things, because may have dire consequences. You never know what this sort of stuff does to somebody. That's why talking to you, Stephen, would be quite handy to know, you know. I know when I'm talking to my dad how conversations go. And I also know when I'm talking to the missus how conversations go. Some people just don't have the ability, want, or need, or whatever to engage in conversations that involve ECV. Sometimes things get too real.
People don't like draw conclusions from their own thoughts many times, because if they are too logical, they are dangerous for their own worldview or whatever. So people just stop. They say to themselves, stop thinking, because one step too far and you will land in a dangerous conclusion. So don't do that. So there is some blocking device in our mind that is blocking thinking, because it's dangerous, because thinking is choosing, because sentence in logic is judgment. This is described in logic as judgment of mind. So it is simple example. For example, if I say that Socrates is white, this is it is judgment. I am judging Socrates that he exists. This is my first judgment. And second judgment, I judge him as white. I'm judging reality. So every statement we make, is judgment. People sometimes don't like to judge reality, and they just suspend their judgment when they shouldn't. Because, of course, you should suspend your judgment when you cannot come to certain conclusion. But if you can, you should. I would say that in that sense, that sentence is judgment, it is moral obligation. Of course, with different weight, because if we are talking about colors or matters that are not important, you cannot suspend your judgment, because your obligation is not very strong. But in let's say important matters, suspension of judgment where it is needed, it is morally, let's say, illicit. Okay, so if I can use that expression. So logic has moral consequences also. So if we are going into ethics in philosophy, so people, many times people separate logic from ethics, and it is not. It is separation in systematics. If we are talking about how people think, how people infer, so this is science about logic. So then we can separate this knowledge about logic from ethics. But process of thinking somehow involves ethics. With more important things, it involves ethics more, and with less important things, of course, less. But still, as our sentences is judgment of reality, it has some moral value, always. Greater or lesser, but still always.
Yeah, it relies on the truth value. See, this is something that I'm gonna enjoy doing, because this is probably going to be one of the most challenging things for me, is because I still don't understand what they're talking about, whether there's a truth value to something or it's what is right. But if you listen to Plato, it's about the good, isn't it? Like it, and the good is truth thing.
Yeah. In philosophy, generally, in Aristotelian, let's say, philosophy, and in ancient Greek philosophy, and of course, Saint Thomas Aquinas, obviously, truth, to be, and good are the same. Because if something exists, it means it is good. And if exists, it means it is true. Because things that are not true, they just don't exist. So not truth is just not to be. And be is reality, of course. So truth is reality. Entity or to be is reality. And of course, good is reality. But bad thing, it is just moral qualification. If we are choosing, for example, lesser good for greater good, this is classified as morally illicit, or you can name it sin. That because if you have two choices between better good and worse good, let's say, you should choose better good, because not all goods are equal. There are better goods or greater goods and smaller goods, lesser goods. So if you have to choose between the two, you are obligated to choose the greater good. So you can sacrifice lesser good for greater good. But if we are sacrificing greater good for lesser good, it is morally illicit. Because in sense of logic of metaphysics, you are choosing thing that is more for thing that is less, because thing that is better or have greater good, it is like thing that is more more true than another, or yes, not going deep into qualifications, but this is generally equivocation between entity, truth, and good. So things that they are more good, they more exist, let's say. They have, and more exist, so their existence is more perfect. And of course, it corresponds with beauty of the thing. So it means if things are more perfect, they are more beautiful or excellent. So there is gradation of entities, of truth, and of good, and they are going along with with another, because you can equivocate between them. So that's classical, let's say, philosophy, where metaphysics goes with the logic and with ethics.
Yeah, so if anybody does want to come and get involved with that sort of stuff, we will be going through a university course. So if you want to come on and get involved with that, then you can do that with us. Do the actual course. It's not heavy. It's just, watching some videos and stuff, talking about them and going over some questions. Come along and say you've been to university, done a bit of stuff. Open for all. Like we say, this isn't a model thing, so anybody can come along and anybody can get involved in it and anybody can have a conversation with us. It isn't about the model. Drop the model and come along and test yourself for contradictions. You can come and test us. We do it to each other on a daily basis. Mainly me doing it to turn up, actually. But we're in here most days, UK time. Ask, how certain are you it's not the globe? Everybody knows 'tis globe. It's just, what sort of a globe do you think it is? What do you think a globe is? The identity of the globe, isn't it? The dogmatic globe, gods. That's what we call it. That's what I call it. As opposed to the real globe. Since a globe is just a made-up term. People play with words. They've been doing it for years. They know the secret. Some may call it magic. Others just call it word fuckery. Street version.
Okay, I am off to bed. Good night. Thank you very much. Till tomorrow.
Yeah, see ya. See you tomorrow. I don't know. Have we got anything on tomorrow? I don't know. Do we have anything on? I don't know. Getting some good conversations going on. Thank you very much for Stephen for coming in. Different sort of conversation. Thank you very much. Yeah, like I say, we have had to do away with one of the globe guys at the minute, Peter. I think he'd been banned from most of the other ones. I'm hoping to have a word with the Twitter guys. I didn't get a chance to do that on Friday. Chat's pretty active tonight. The YouTube chat. We've actually had a couple of conversations with him, and the way it's going at the minute, there seems to be a few dogmatic globe faithful guys that are still hanging on to futile attempts to prove something which other people within their group would say you can't prove. So I'd say that the globe guys are a little bit fragmented. That's why I think it would be interesting to have a word with Stephen, because I think Stephen comes from an age where you know, they're a little bit different than the new modern globe guys. It's hard, I don't know. It's hard work to work out how the differing is, because most people really struggle with talking about it. It seems like it's an intensely personal thing that globe guys only seem to be able to talk about their globe when they're talking to flat earthers, or, you know, trying to bash the other people. And it's much the same as the flat earthers. The flat earthers can't really talk about their whatever they have for a model or their arguments without having a bash at the globe. And that's why I think the false dichotomy works in the favour of each other. Mishu's never met 70. How do you know? Must have gone through the you know, the 70s. I mean, that must have been a really weird time to have lived through. Generations. The worst thing that we can do is stop the communication, because then all of that wisdom and stuff's all gone. Even the ability to communicate seems to have been lost over the last couple of generations, I'd say.
When communication can happen, then that's when violence is the only thing that's left. Unfortunately, people don't want that. At least I wouldn't think they would.
Yeah, Stephen said there, if you want the truth, until about 2 years ago, I didn't think anyone in the civilized Earth believed Earth was flat. I don't think that they do. I mean, they'll tell you at the minute. They're like the globe guys with lost the ability to prove anything. Well, the modern flat earthers this year, particularly, they've lost their belief. They've turned it into a knowing, which I find amazing. How people can lose their belief for something that's already been proved false. But the question would be then, Stephen, if 2 years ago you found out that, you know, people believe the Earth's flat, what for 2 years have you been doing? Have you been, like, you know, like watching them intensely like we have, wondering what's going to go on? I mean, 2 years ago, that would be Sextant, 10th Man. I mean, 10th Man had a bit of age to him as well, didn't he? I don't know how old, but he was definitely retired for a fair few years, I would imagine. Was it the sextant that brought you in then, Stephen? I'll just take a guess. I can't imagine what, like what you do. I've been trying to tell people that I'm not a flat earther. And we've been doing what we do. A lot of people are in this arena and have been for multiple years. If you've been around for any amount of time, the faces and the people that you've seen, at least the ones who can talk, I guess you've heard most of them. They all have a platform of their own. But you'll have heard the main voices. Mike's been a member here for 2 years as well. Yeah, it's we've been going for quite a while. I'm impressed with what we've ended up as being. And that was without even really trying. The future's going to be good. I don't know what to do with we had a conversation. We had Blue Marble Science come round over the weekend. And he's been having a conversation. That seems to have stopped recently, doesn't it, J-Ro? Is that ended it? J-Ro's been having a conversation with Blue Marble Science about an angle. We've been sort of trying to work out what's going on within this arena and how people have been fooled by, I don't know, non-arguments. Things that aren't even an argument, how people could be imagine that there's some sort of a case behind it, and fascinated by the fact that the logic just doesn't fit. It's been quite obvious that there's not much logic goes on. There's not much reasoning. Yeah, we had a conversation with Blue Marble Science. It was interesting. And the amount of things that we've learned. J-Ro, is that Eddie Bravo's mate? He might be. You never know. Saying to Blue, you never know who people might be. It doesn't matter either. As we say, if you stick to the truth and speak simply, you don't really have anything to hide. Reasoning for yourself, gods, that would be. Just leave it to somebody else. I mean, there must be a shadow giant somewhere that's done that. It's all been handed over to Google. As long as you can prompt Google in the correct way, you can get whatever you want out of it. He checked out of OTL. Did he leave? I don't think he left the server, did he? I hope not. I hope he's still in. But yeah, we did have a really good conversation with Blue Marble Science. And thank you very much, Blue, for coming in and having that conversation. At some point, I think we'll have to go over it with a view to explaining the angle problem, because there is a theme that we've noticed within this arena, and people imagining that the angle can do magic things. think Blue Marble was even trying to attempt to help Nathan Oakley. But I'm not too sure whether Nathan would want to take that advice from Blue Marble. Yeah, Mishu, even Mishu sent somebody over, and that was a good conversation. But she left. So thanks for that, Mishu. Yeah. That was an interesting conversation. So if you're out there and you're listening, just come back and finish the conversation. Yeah, that's the one. Mishu. Yeah, proper. It was a good conversation, and she just left. Have you talked to her since? Or because she came in yesterday? Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, she did. She came into voice. Yeah, we actually had a conversation. It was good. And yes, so thank you very much, Blue. Thank you very much, Stephen. And Wednesday we're going to plan for the Plato. So I think what we'll do is we'll do an hour beforehand to give people an idea on what we're doing. We might even be able to read the first bit, the allegory of the cave within that first bit, and then I think we'll go to the conversation in Discord about the rest of book 7 that occurs after the allegory of the cave. That sounds all right, doesn't it? I think we could safely do that. So if anybody wants to come in and have it do some reading. I don't think so. No, no. No. Mishu is he's in the chat there with you. I to be honest, I don't know what I'd talk to him about. It'd probably be an awkward conversation. We tend to talk about different things. I'd say model afflicted. There again, I think most people would show their model affliction very quickly. At least that's what I've noticed anyway. I seem to have an ability to draw out people's model affliction. Much to my yeah, sorry. Yeah, it doesn't it's not good for conversation if people get triggered. And I try not to trigger people about things, but it seems like people want you to agree with them before conversation can progress. Now, I never ask for people to agree with me, just to engage in conversation. I hope that's what is going to be coming, because like I say earlier, this text conversation is going to be near impossible, because you could be talking to ChatGPT. People have the ability to copy and paste whatever you say into ChatGPT and see what the response is, and then just use that. So you never know if you're going to be talking to somebody or ChatGPT. The only way you're going to know if people you're communicating with a human is to do it by voice. The AI will never catch up on voice, and it'll never be able to deal with logic in the way that a human brain can, for obvious reasons. But you know, come and have a chat. It's the only way we're ever going to get anywhere. Stephen's making jokes. I don't think you could say boring, right? That's one of the last things that you're going to get. Unless you're just tired of the model affliction roundabout. Then, yeah, it does get boring. And you've only been in it for a couple of years, Stephen. I mean, people have been in it for 10, 16 years. That's quite a long time. I bet Brenda's been in this for quite a while as well, you know. There's one character or another. Right. Has anybody got anything else you want to go over? Other than the fact that on Wednesday we're going to be doing Plato. A little bit of philosophy. And I think it's quite important, this. This is sort of where we're going to be going forwards with this education. Right. I hope everybody will be coming in, all of the regulars, when we go over this. Book 7. Put it in YouTube and find Plato's Republic, Book 7. Listen to it for a bit. The guy that does the readings a bit dramatic, so might get a kick out of that as well. And we'll be back on Wednesday. I don't know what's going to go over tomorrow. If you want to come into the Discord, anytime, we're here for conversation. Anyone want a request for Buster? I've not done any new ones for a bit, but I do like the blue marble science ones. Which ones haven't we had for a bit? You don't understand LIGO and the hump. Does that sound good? Not been over these sort of things for a bit. It'll come round again. Did you? Wish you did request a Buster song or a particular one. Which one? I can't see it. Come on, Miss you. We're a bit behind. Yes. Just a Buster song. Or a particular one. Wisdom. Wisdom. Okay. This is probably going to get revoiced. So if anybody wants to audition for that. Oh, well, we can do two, I guess. Wisdom, and then the Hawkster. I'll put that on after it. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. This is the philosophy, wisdom. And then, pop in. See where it goes from there. See you Wednesday.
It is probably the single most important mathematical idea of all. The notion of proof by circle and line or ruler and compass construction means that geometry can be known about in a way that is different from knowing about physical things, and so makes geometry epistemically differentiated. Furthermore, starting from circles and lines alone and constructing a relationship using circles and lines alone makes the conclusions certain in a way that nothing else was at the time. In geometric reasoning, the argument and the conclusions were made supremely clear and evident to the senses. Indeed, the concept of proof, a mechanism that gave a warrant for claiming geometry to be perfectly and absolutely true, made geometry the very paradigm of what we mean true and certain knowledge to be. In effect, in our understanding of nature, true means true like geometry is true.
Come go with me. Open your mind. Was all I ever knew. Finding the knowledge of the real world starts with the point of which has no parts. These are the axioms of life.
True.
And I take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in geometry.
Perfect.
And I don't care what all the sophists say. I find the proofs
We call
in
this proof.
reality. 'Cause they were right.
We call this
We
proof.
know that they were right.
True. We call this proof. Like geometry is true.
Starting with circles and lines alone, constructing the nature of what's known.
We call this proof.
Conclusions are clear and the evidence seen. This 3D space works perfectly. And I take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in
Like geometry.
geometry. And I don't care what all the sophists say. I find the proofs in reality.
Like geometry is true. Perfect. Absolutely.
And all around you is sinking sand. You'll have a place on which to stand. Foundations were already built for you.
Absolutely true.
Open your mind. And I'll take my chances with the old ways, hearing the words of what the ancients said. They say my words sound like sorcery, but there's wisdom in all honesty.
True.
Come go with me. Open your mind. Come go with me. We'll find the truth.
Absolutely true.
I'm fucking pissed. I mean, there isn't a fucking scale on this goddamn planet that can measure how fucking pissed I am right the fuck now. Hey, so yeah. I can't get any of these cowardly fucks to debate me. Unless someone can give me a good fucking reason to keep doing this, I'm fucking giving it up. I don't I got better things to do with my time. Nobody ever cites my work. My Angles to Polaris video. Nobody ever cites that. It's not the best one in the world. But you know, it's fucking something. You know, with a physical model. And it gets a lot of compliments. So I know it's not complete shit. Nobody ever plays my videos on their live streams. Or even little bits of it. When was the last time anybody shared any of my videos? You know, my most popular video is the Angles to Polaris video. And it has less than 1,000 fucking views and it's 2 years old. And I've got a shit community fucking not doing anything to fucking keep me doing it. Like I said, unless someone can give me a good fucking reason why I should keep streaming, you know, I'm done. So, thanks for the fish. I'm so pissed off right now. I've got a shit community. Made me look like a fucking asshole. Motherfucker! Fucking asshole! Motherfucker! I'm so pissed off right now. Your world is full of illusions, contradiction between fact and fiction. Fucking talking shit! You never back your claims. Like a little cowardly bitch. Fucking talking shit! Driving the wrong way down a one-way street. Motherfucker! Unstoppable force on immovable feet. You don't know how fucking pissed I am! Straight lines converge in the distance. Fucking asshole! Why do I get so much resistance? I know. Fucking talking shit! Never prove me wrong. Right the fuck now! God damn it, fucker! Now we get our physics deniers, pathologic compulsive lies. I know. You never prove me wrong. You don't know how fucking pissed I am! Driving the wrong way down a one-way street. I get fucking emasculated by Jose J.G. Gonzalez. It's where knowledge and ignorance meet. Fucking asshole! Motherfucker! Paradoxes and confusion. Your mind is in delusion. Fucking talking shit! We all know you're insane. Oh, God damn it! I can't get one of these pussies after fucking talking shit to this motherfucker. I fucking still like him, but he fucking pissed me off. Motherfucker! God damn, he owes me a fucking apology. Talk about your 2D surface. We all know you ain't got no purpose in life. When you think that you live on board, I get fucking emasculated. Driving the wrong way down a one-way street. I get fucking emasculated by Jose J.G. Gonzalez. It's where knowledge and ignorance meet. Fucking talking shit, motherfucker! Paradoxes and confusion. Your mind is in delusion. Fucking talking shit! We all know you're insane. We all know you're insane. I get fucking emasculated by Jose J.G. Gonzalez. I'm pretty fucking pissed off. That's all I've got to say about it. Motherfucker! Made me look like a fucking asshole.